Hi, everybody. This is my very last Michael's Monday Morning Musings, and I'm very excited to have as my guests today Malkia Stampley and Sheri Williams Pannell. So it's a wonderful, wonderful way to introduce things that are coming and to sort of talk about the past too. I would love to hear from both of you where you were born and your backgrounds and your commitment to the Milwaukee community. That's always very interesting to me. Malkia, why don't you start? Where were you born and where did you go to school?
Sure. Well, I was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Milwaukee, and let's see, a long time ago. But I am from Milwaukee, born and raised. I went through the Whitefish Bay school district as the now defunct Chapter 220 program student, and then I attended Marquette University. I did a residency at Skylight Music Theater, then an acting internship at Milwaukee Rep. So I am definitely homegrown, home nurtured, and I love Milwaukee. It's it's where I got my start, my launching pad. I've lived in Chicago and New York, and in Milwaukee. I also started then my directing career. So I love coming back. I've been away. We moved in September back to New York, but with COVID, we're now back in Milwaukee to be with family. So, Milwaukee just keeps pulling me back.
I love that. I love that. Sheri, how about you? Where were you born?
I was born here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
What?
Milwaukee, yes, Milwaukee is home. And I always say I'm HTT, hometown talent. So I attended Milwaukee Public Schools, graduating from Riverside High School. And after leaving Riverside, going to Spelman College and studying not theater, but natural science. Yes, I was a sex educator for many years.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yes, but then I have always been involved in the arts since a little girl, taking classes, believe it or not, at Wisconsin Avenue School, drama classes, and a summer workshop it was Theater X. Yes, Theater X when I was a little girl. So the theater is in my blood, and I couldn't help myself. And thank God I was able to attend graduate school and concentrate on that which I love, theater directing. So UW-Madison is where I achieved the MFA. So I now have been home, have always been blessed to work at home, although I have gone away for special projects, but it's so good to be able to establish a career in your hometown. They say a prophet's not honored in their hometown. Well, I think Malkia and I might be an exception to that rule, and I'm very grateful for that.
Talk a little bit more about career, Malkia. So you have traveled a bit after you did your internship and your residency at Skylight. What pulls you back to Milwaukee? I love that connection to hometown, and also the Milwaukee community is very special to me. Talk a little bit about that. What you love about it? Is it family? Is it roots? Is there more than that?
Well, like Sheri, I started as a kid, and Whitefish Bay has a great arts department. So started in middle school with meeting Ken Daniel, who is a very well-known gospel singer. He was one of my music teachers, African-American, one of my first African-American teachers. And then from that, met Pam Krieger in high school. She directed our musicals. So it's in my DNA. I love Pam and Mr. Daniels, and they really just nurtured me. And so I feel a loyalty to Milwaukee. And then I found that once going to Chicago, meeting other African-American artists, that I didn't grow up with seeing a ton outside of Sheri and my brother. I then realized that I needed to bring what I was learning and gaining back home. And so then even going to New York, with my husband, TK, who's an actor, New York pulled us there. There was still just this draw to Milwaukee. And when we moved back, because of kids, ultimately our children, and both of us are from here, I just saw that there was opportunity. There's opportunity here. This last time when we moved back 8 years ago, I saw that there was a lack of people of color behind the stage, and even on the stage at that time. And Miss Sheri, her husband, my husband, and several others, we came together and we wanted to do something about that. And I think Milwaukee then, it helped me discover my voice. The way that I talk about advocacy, the way that I talk about social justice, the way that I talk about theater, I wasn't talking like that 10 years ago. I just wasn't that person. And now anyone who knows me now, they can't imagine me not always speaking up, always having some radical opinion about theater diversity or whatever. And Milwaukee did that to me, the horrible sides of Milwaukee, but also then the beautiful sides, because I was able to have the voice and the opportunity to have that platform here.
That's great. That's great. So you were mentored and nurtured in Milwaukee, and now there's the desire to mentor and nurture others, yes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Someone like Austin Winter or LaCrissa Granberry, DeMonte, although him and I have worked a lot together on stage, I look at them, or Raven Thackeray, and I'm like, these are our next leaders. And yes, I'm not so many years older than them, but I've been given some wonderful opportunities, and it's time to share the wealth. And you can't succeed, or you can't be successful unless you're taking someone with you. And so there's no project that I'm going to work on, I think, even as an actor, because I speak up a lot, if I'm not mentioning someone else who should be considered, or if I'm directing, trying to introduce someone else of color or woman, if that pool isn't available, to be right alongside me. Yeah.
That's excellent. Sheri, talk a little bit about, you are and have been a mentor and a nurturer most of your life. Isn't that true?
It is true. And I love the way Malkia just expressed really the lifestyle that I have lived in we won't even talk about the number of years, it's been a long time. I'll just say that. But whether I have been blessed to be in a production, and oftentimes I'm a person that theater companies will come to and ask, I'm looking for this sort of person, or I need that particular type of talent. And I have been blessed to connect with so many talented young people of color that I can say, oh yes, this one and that one, or you need to get her, or you need to reach out to him. And I'm glad to be able to be that person. And that's been my role. In fact, my husband used to tease me. He says, you need a talent agency. You need a finder's fee, because you've been doing this a long time. But actually, it is a part of my calling, and it is my way also of saying thank you, because someone opened the door for me. I think about Ella Washington and Carol Haywood, who was the first African-American woman to perform with Florentine Opera and Skylight, when it was Skylight Comic Opera. Right. Those women mentored me, and I owe it to the young men and women behind me, and to mentor them. And I remember sitting next to Malkia when she was 16 years old. And in the cast of The King and I at Skylight, our dressing table space was right next to each other. And I loved seeing her excitement and love. And it rekindled in me, during a difficult time, it rekindled in me a joy of performing again. So I'm thankful for that. And even there again, her brother, Nate Stampley, and I were in the opera, The Woman Called Moses. He was 16, oddly enough, he was 16. And this was the old Skylight on Jefferson.
Sure.
Oh my God. But he was 16. And when you have a young person in your proximity that you can say, oh, are you aware of this, or do you know about that? Or, so I had someone to help me, and I owe it to the young people today to do the same.
Yeah, and I'll just say about Miss Sheri, I met her. Yeah, I know I met her before I was 16 for sure, just with my brother. But then being able to perform with her, and she took me under her wing. She, gave me opportunities to sing at her church with her, and I got to spend time with her at her home as a child, and that really it planted a seed in me, and for us to now be very close. We're close friends and we work together as colleagues.
We're colleagues, yes.
Yes. And I want to be able to do that, to do that for others. And it's just when you have that type of legacy in Milwaukee talent, or Wisconsin talent, we give back. It's not about, I don't know, there's not a lot of ego. There can be some, but it's about your community. It's building community. And maybe that's just the Midwest way or the Milwaukee way. But we're naturally just giving people from Milwaukee. And I grew up seeing that. And I have no doubt that those coming behind me will do the same.
Yeah, that's really what attracted Ray and I to Milwaukee, was that sense of community and collaboration. We're all in this together. It's not about competing. It's about building something as a unit. Sheri, talk a little bit about, so you have performed a lot. Did you transition into directing and eventually playwriting, or was that all happening at the same time?
No, it truly was a transition. I started out, it doesn't sound like it now, but I was an opera singer. I was an opera chorus. But one of the things I love about the African-American voice or vocal capability is that we can sing many different styles. So I was singing opera, gospel, musical theater, jazz, you name it. And so it provided opportunities for me to transition from opera chorister to singing in musical theater, from musical theater, those roles that are more choral roles, to having an opportunity to be a principal. And I was writing at the same time, wrote a piece for African American Children's Theater and for the education department at the Milwaukee Rep, those companion pieces that used to travel in the schools that were that helped to accompany those main stage productions. So I was playwriting, but there came a time I wrote a piece and there was no director and there was a grant that needed to be fulfilled. So I had to step into that role of directing. And having been around so many wonderful directors, and I'm the type of person who, if I'm in the rehearsal hall, if I'm quiet, people will let me stay there. So I'd stay and I'd take note, watch their process. And I learned so much from that. And so it was performer, writer, director, but always educator along the way, always a teaching artist. But I am so grateful to one of my mentors, Norma Saldivar, who recruited me for the directing program at the MFA program at University of Wisconsin-Madison. I adore her. She's tough as nails.
She is. So what about you, Malkia? Do you feel like there's an educator in you too? Is it just a natural instinct to help others and mentor others, or have you actually taught? Have you been in a classroom?
Yes, I actually started teaching under Ray and Miss Sheri at Skylight during the residency that I did out of school. It was a part of our responsibility, and started at, I think the first place I taught then was at Hopkins Lloyd Street School. And Don Miller, I think, was there at the time. And it was a, both feet in experience working with those students. And so that was, many years ago. And so I teach here and there. I think growing up under two educators, my father is a pastor and my mother is a retired middle school teacher. I think I wanted to go away as far as possible from teaching. But I don't think I can escape it. And I think maybe that's why I love directing. I think that's why I'm drawn to mentoring, and even being on panels or workshops. I'm drawn to it. But yeah, I saw the stress my mom went through working for NPS, and it did break my heart even as a kid seeing that. So we'll work on the teaching part.
So you both have been part of the MCT family for a while. Sheri, you directed for our Young Playwrights Festival. That was quite a few years ago, early on.
Yes.
And then you also, I remember, Blue Bullets.
Oh, that's a powerful piece by Alvaro.
Yes, I remember. Yes, that was such a. And Chike, Malkia's husband, was in that. My partner Ray Jivoff was in that. It was incredible. And Micheal Lopez Rios and Alvaro, her husband, wrote it. It was this great family affair. And Malkia, we got to work together. You were in Doubt a few years ago. That was. I do feel like there's a wonderful, wonderful sense of family in Milwaukee, theater family, and there's something sort of spiritual about it too, where it is your partners, it is your children, it is your neighbors, which is what I have always loved about Milwaukee. There's a spiritual quality and a depth to relationships. And I want to talk a little bit about where we take that next. If you continue to mentor, if you continue to explore all these wonderful hats that you're able to wear, what do you see? Certainly challenges ahead, but what do you see as opportunities for the two of you to take Milwaukee by storm? I'd love to hear your ideas.
That's a big question, Michael. Sheri, chime in whenever.
Okay, well, I'll say one of the responsibilities I have is to mentor the young people who are at the Peck School of the Arts at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And that aspect of me that is spiritual, I can't help it. I've made that commitment to my faith. And in this time, this pandemic, I noticed last semester, if there's ever a time to call on your faith, and with everything that's going on in our community, the pain, the suffering, I'm leaning as this anthem that says, "We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith." I'm taking it with me, yes. And as I walk throughout the halls of Peck School of the Arts, and I'm working with the students, or even when I'm with them on these wonderful Zoom meeting and other Teams meeting and other platforms that we're using to stay connected and to reassure them that our community, especially African American community, we've been through some things through our existence here in the United States. Painful, challenging, but guess what? We persevere. We have a determination, and that is that part of us that also can inspire other people. It inspires other movements. Black Lives Matters has inspired other people to stand up for themselves and to make sure their voices are heard, that they're no longer marginalized. I mean, it's a battle, and we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving forward. But this is, if there's ever a time to shore up yourself, your faith, this is another one of those times, and it comes out in your creativity, the types of work that you produce, the themes. What the characters look like, where they live, the stories that they're going to tell, and how you hope to inspire the audiences. So,
I feel like we all need role models, and we need them in our daily life, but we also need them in our entertainment. We need to have people that we emulate.
Yeah.
how they speak, what they're saying, what they stand for. We're always all looking for that. And I think the time has come that we see more Black role models.
Absolutely. And I agree with everything that Ms. Sheri has stated. And for I can say for myself, I'm at a place where I feel like I'm beginning to articulate specific things that I'd love for Milwaukee. And when you request or demand certain things, you then need to determine whether you are willing to hold people accountable for those things. And I know the standard that I have with making sure that I have someone of color on my design team or in my cast, no matter what the story is. And if that isn't available, even body size or body structure, just thinking a little bit outside the box to be more inclusive. And so when in doing that, instead of letting that be my personal mission, it's how can I inspire and challenge theaters and other directors and other artistic directors and managing directors to do the same. So there have been a lot of conversations. I know Sheri has had them, and I have as well, with artistic directors around the city, and those who are really concerned. And although those conversations are exhausting, they're necessary, and I'll keep doing them as long as I can, especially if it results in something tangible or something that we often look at and say, that happened because we spoke up. And you're seeing it on the national level with the We See You White American Theater, we see you WAT.com, that national letter, that open letter, or the Black Girl Theater group that just put out an open letter on medium.com. You're seeing these national movements, students at Syracuse or students at Carthage College who are speaking up. And so now I feel like it's our time to turn that lens, turn the mirror to Milwaukee. Yes, national, but we need to have those hard conversations with our theaters and with our leaders here, including myself. And so I know a great artist who he decided he was going to do a personal audit for himself, the number of people of color that he's invited to work with him, how many plays he's produced or directed that was written by a person of color. We all need to do these audits for ourselves. And when we do that, you may be ashamed of yourself, or you may realize that you're a lot further than others. And so then what do you do with that information? First, share it. Tell everybody. Tell us what you've been doing, because then you'll be able to align with those who are doing the same thing, or those who aren't doing it will be able to look to you and say, how did you do that? How were you able to diversify your season and still meet your subscriber goal? Or how were you able to do that play and get the grant? You know, all those things. We need to have these conversations and making sure that as a collective, we come together, these theaters. Milwaukee is a family, but there is this small part of us where we're also on our islands. Our theater, you have a Milwaukee Chamber Theater community. You have a Skylight Music Theater community. You have a rep community. The artists, we interchangeably, we're working all over the place. Our leaders working together. And if you're not working together, then the message can be misconstrued, or I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing if you're only talking to your circle, to those who say yes to you and believe in you. So that I'm hoping that we can see a tearing down of the walls in between the individual theaters in this city, because the artists, we're together.
Yes.
We're talking. We're talking. And so join us. Join us in this fight. And it's not us versus them. It's not Malkia versus casting or who. It's not that. because we all want theater to survive. We all need it. And so I get passionate, really, really passionate about it, but I can see it. I see it. And I don't know if it's a coalition. I don't know if it's a caucus. I don't know if it's an accountability group. And I don't know if you have or Wisconsin Art Board, or I don't know if it's their responsibility. They should be a part of this. But at the grassroots level, I hope that we have some activist artists who are not afraid to challenge all of us, everybody. And I see it. I'm just not exactly sure what the formula is. So I will say that is what I'm thinking about a lot.
Well, it certainly starts with awareness. And I feel like there is an awareness now. And I applaud your demanding. Everyone wake up. It's time. And I feel like it's really important that this followed the Me Too movement. Black Lives Matter. It's time for everyone to speak up and own who we are and how we live our daily lives. I want to talk a little bit about, before we part, we don't have much more time, but I'm very excited about where Milwaukee Chamber Theater is headed next. And we can't say too much about it, but I know that there have been a number of meetings. The two of you have met with Brent Hazelton, who is replacing me in a day or two. He has been on board all year, and he's very determined to make great changes. And I know that there have been a series of great, exciting meetings. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've been busy, and Brent is a dear friend. We go way back. He signed the yes for me to be an intern at the Rep. He was in the audition room, and we've grown. We a relationship, a deep relationship that's grown since then. And knowing how passionate he is about Milwaukee, I don't think you will find anyone who loves Milwaukee any more than him. And knowing the high standard that he has for storytelling, and with seizing the moment, it was what can we do in Milwaukee, for Milwaukee, and even and specifically for the Black community. What can we do that's not just a one-time reaction thing that will fade in the distance, but something that is ongoing, something that is annual, that we can offer our city. And so there's a beautiful group of us that's come together to talk a lot about it. And we're very excited about it, and we can't wait to share it with the city.
Sheri, talk to us a little bit about your excitement. You talked about inspiring. What inspires you about some of these ideas that you've all been talking about? Where's Milwaukee headed next with its theater offering?
I believe the current events have inspired theater companies to reevaluate their programming. The projects that are chosen, who gets to direct the voice, in other words, the voice behind them, the designers. This is a time where I'm not only getting calls about who the actors are, but who are the designers? Who are those persons, those theater artisans who can help us create the world that the play will live in? And that's a great call to get. And the fact that there are those names, there are those people who are capable, some who are actually here in the city, who are capable of fulfilling those leadership roles in the various projects, the plays, the musicals. That's very exciting. The other thing is, as Malkia alluded to and so beautifully expressed, the change of mindset, the change of heart, and a willingness to actualize, to not just talk about it, because we've had these conversations for years. This has been going on a long time, but now to get behind it and really do something about it. And more than just having a diversity and inclusion, but really putting people in place and bringing, I believe, I'm hoping, bringing those theater professionals to the table, to the decision making, to, as they say, be in the room where it happens, to actually be at the table where the decisions are made and where the discussions are being had. That's a very important part, because you don't always just want to be called in once it's already been determined. You want to be a part of the decision making as well. And to me, that is very promising, because that's where the change happens, in the boardrooms, in the artistic meetings. So
that's terrific. It's so great to have you both for my very last musing. I think you're both incredible role models as women, as Black artists. I think the future belongs to you. So bless you both. I'll be supporting you from a distance, from Door County.
oh my goodness.
Ray and I love you both so much.
We love you. And Michael and Ray, I want to thank you for the, how many years? 25 years? More than that.
32.
Said it again?
32 years
32.
in Milwaukee.
That's how long I've known you then. That's how long I've known you, because I knew you. I met you two when you first came to Milwaukee. So what I want to say is thank you for the love, the talent, the vision, all that you two brought.
Who, me?
Chamber,
Hello,
Skylight, Milwaukee Chamber Theater, and to Skylight, from all the way from the day. Thank you. And not only for that, but just for being my friends, for being our friends and advocates. So congratulations to you. And this might be the last of this broadcast, but something tells me something else might be around the corner from Georgia.
You never know. But I still say the future belongs to you. And I look forward to it.
Thank you, Michael, for all that you've done for Milwaukee, for me and my husband, and for the Milwaukee community. You and Ray are jewels, and you've impacted so many lives. And I was really sad to see you go, to see you leave Milwaukee Chamber, especially when I was like, oh man, I just did my first show there. You can't leave there. But you put Milwaukee Chamber in really good hands with Brent. And I can say I wouldn't have imagined the kind of partnership that I now can have with Milwaukee Chamber. I didn't see that for me. And so I thank you so much for opening so many doors to so many people. You've been pushing the boundaries. Productions like Brother Size, just still stick with me. Thank you for doing that, taking the chance for subscribers, challenging Milwaukee, and making sure that you left Milwaukee Chamber in a great position. And you did. I salute you. My husband salutes you. And we love Ray. I love you. I love you, Ray. I've known him for a very long time.
Yes. Yes.
Just wonderful. So thank you both, and I wish you all the best.
Hope to see you soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.